And now, TSPN News with Tom Slivick. Comprehensive news because in today's world, you need more than just sound bites. TSPN, streaming on the World Wide Web, and now on demand at TSPNTV.com. Hi everyone, Tom Slivick, and today I'm with Jackson's Mayor. How are you doing, Pat?
Good.
Good to
How
see you again.
How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing fine, And we're going to be talking about Jackson and what Jackson's doing today. And you have a few issues. You brought your notes along. They kind of match up with mine a little bit.
Yeah,
and
there's lots of events coming. I want to make sure I got the dates
I know,
right.
you always, you ain't the mayor for nothing, okay?
Right.
If you're not promoting Jackson, you're not,
That's right.
You're not doing your job. I know that. We're going to take our first break, then we'll come back, and then we'll get into our show for today. So stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN. Okay, Tom Slivick with Pat Crew, Jackson City Mayor for 3 terms.
This is my third year. Right? Yeah, it's my third year.
They vote for the mayor in Jackson, right? I mean the board.
Yeah, the last meeting of the year, December.
Right.
The council appoints and elects a new mayor.
Okay,
so it's a 1-year term.
I think they get you because you are so good at talking to the people, and you have a good way of getting people involved.
Yeah. Hey, I just love Jackson. It's not a very hard job.
Okay, that's right. It is. It's a pretty easy job there in Jackson. But you do have some tough things that are ongoing, and of course, wastewater is probably #1.
Yes.
Although you have your plan and you know what you're going to do, you want to tell people what it is plan?
It's in the very preliminary stages, but we have to get the funding for basically the new sewer system that was approved by the regional board. We're going to change from a chlorinated system to ultraviolet,
okay,
which brings us more into compliance and solves some of the mineral problems, and the names escape me, that we are putting in the creek that we're not in compliance. So it's a very big upgrade for the system. We've got to do the rate study, but the first thing we had to do, there's a part of the order they have is there's timelines we have to follow.
Right.
And so we had to work on the funding, and we decided we're looking at the revolving state loan fund. It's low interest loans. So we've got we hired a consultant to help us get that going.
All right.
And then they have the rough idea, the general idea of how they're going to build the sewer plant and in what stages. But it has to be done mid-year 17.
Mid-year of 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a pretty strict timeline.
And
we got to do a rate study, and we also have to go through the 218 process.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of steps that we need to do. So.
Right. But I think you have the target. You know what the plant wants to look like and be, and all that. So
yes.
Okay. So that's good.
And we can keep discharging. We got the okay to keep discharging the water in the creek, so we don't have to go to the alternate land disposal system, which had some maintenance issues of its own. So.
Okay. Well, you might know them too. So we're in a drought year, so maybe the creek won't have as much water. We don't know what the future will be, but when it doesn't have enough water to discharge in it, what do you do then?
Well, they used to discharge. Now they would have to come up with some way to hold it until the levels. But there is no 5% dilution, so we used to be in violation in the summer, even in the good winter rain years, some days in late August and September. So we don't have that held over our head by public health of the 5% dilution in Lake Amador.
Okay. Let's move this on.
That's not an issue anymore.
Let's stay with water, but let's change it to the kind that you drink in that and get to use in your house and things like. Now, we've had since we entered the drought, we've had a couple of good rainfalls. Now I know it's not enough to bring all of the reservoirs up, but I've just heard reports that it's brought some up down south, down the LA area, up. Some of them are full right now, from what I had heard. Maybe they're not the big ones, but those are up. What is Jackson's plan? They have you have a plan in mind?
Well,
we don't have a really good month next month.
Fortunately, as has been explained to me, we are above the storage places down Pardee, Lake Amador, all of those. So we're in a good spot, but we have adopted asking for a 20% reduction by all of water usage by all the people. And that's it's a voluntary deal. And if you go, I learned this last week thanks to the girls in the office. If you go online, you can track your usage if you've gone to the new e-bills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pretty cool system.
Do you have people talking, because I think about sometimes, like, if I was going to conserve, I feel like I've already been conserving, and I think most people are conserving. It's really, you must get to the point where you say, well, I don't know how I can come down a lot more.
Right, and that's
we've
true.
got rid of our lawns a lot and our plants outside.
When they had the last rate increase, Jackson's water usage dropped.
Right,
People already have concern. I mean, it may come. I was at an East Bay Mud, and a guy who's the senior water engineer said something I had never thought about, that the western slope of the Sierras has the largest gap between the dry year and the rainiest year. There's only 2 other places in the world that has that big a drop. So how do you plan for water? Because you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I think, we need more off-site, off-creek storages, or off the channels, the ravines, and more storage probably would be a good idea, at least from my point of view. So
I might run into a little opposition.
I know, boy, when it comes to water, that's where sides get drawn pretty quick.
Yeah, well, most people have figured out water is power in Northern California.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on to something that I had read in the news recently, and that was the Mesa de Oro property. It sounded like Jackson was thinking about
Oro de Amador?
Oro de Amador.
Yeah,
right.
I get confused. Mesa de Oro was over in Sutter Creek, I think.
Okay, well, thank you, and that's Oro. I'll write that down.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, you're right. There's been an Oro de Amador study group that's worked diligently for 2 or 3 years, and they have a plan for passive use of it.
Okay.
Walking trails.
Right.
And so some system to cap where the hot spots are. And they applied for a grant, and they're supposed to know, I think March 13th is going to be the hearing.
Okay.
They went for a brownfield, which is a federal government, and it was never high enough priority to get the funding. So that's what, and the other end of that.
So we're talking there about, that was the area where people, if you come down through Jackson on 88 and you look over to the left, the big swath of property, the field that's out there, and it's got some things in there. To me, it almost always looked like gun embattlements or something, that was there. But that was where tailings were stored.
Yeah, and that's
so
where
we
the
have the issue
cyanide
of
plant
possibilities of that. So it can be used, I believe, if it's mitigated. And
Correct.
Some of the mitigation is by putting, a foot of soil over it?
Correct.
Or other ways.
Correct.
Has that all been mapped out? Is that what you mean when you were saying for hot spots?
Well, they've identified them.
Okay.
How they're going to deal with them with either fencing or coverage is a whole nother issue. Also, Mr. Churko, who owns Rollingwood,
Okay.
Joe Churko, wants to expand Rollingwood on the backside that would come into New York Ranch Road.
Okay.
And he's approached the city, and he's amenable to putting walking trails in there, so you could go from New York Ranch across the property to the Wheels Park, and then on down to the Kennedy Mine even.
Okay. Why don't we take a break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about that a little bit more. All
Okay,
right?
fine.
Okay, we're going to take a break and we'll be back. Stay with us.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.